Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to all of you from wherever you may be watching. Firstly, it's Ray from Pro String, at it again, once again, at it again, with another tennis racket tutorial. We've hit the 500 subscribers, which is not, in the grand scheme of things, isn't all that much, but for me it's significant. I didn't think anybody would subscribe at the beginning. So yeah, thanks to all of you that have subscribed and following this channel. Hopefully the information on here is good for you guys. Thank you to our new sponsor, Palacorda, as well. Hopefully you guys can see that. If not, I'm just making a bit of an ass of myself. Very nice clothes, very good quality, exceptional quality, I have to say, at not such a high price. Not such a high price, no, for a very fair price, let's say. And you can also buy them through our website now, officially. Any questions, obviously send us an email, follow us on socials, get a hold of us. Getting a hold of us is quite easy, or even just in the comment box here. We have had some interesting trolls on some of our videos. Dear trolls, stick to yourselves, please. Not that I give a crap, because you can say whatever you want. I'm just going to delete your comments if it's not relevant to the video. Anyway, let's get on with it. That's what we're here for. Head racket today, guys. Head Extreme Pro. The new one. 2024. It was launched last year, a few months ago already. I have strung a few, but I just haven't got around to catching it at the right time where I have time to do a video and string it as well. So a lot of times I'm just stringing on automatic pilot mode and not even thinking about videos much these days. But here I am again. So the Head Extreme Pro, guys, I think it's the Pro's got, yeah, there you go, 315 grams, 16-19 stringing pattern. As you can see, I've already put the racket on the machine. Remember, it doesn't need to be tight, guys. It should be, you can see I made no effort on that. On the middle fixtures at 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock. And then our, I guess you could say, 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock and 7 and 4, I guess. Anyway, but yeah, don't over tighten your fixtures, guys, because you will really struggle to get the racket off the machine. You will warp the racket and many other things. So be very careful with that. Give it a bit of space, guys. So my two main strings, 16-19, I said, which now we have two in the middle, which therefore means all we have to do is count 7 to each side, as I'm going to do now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right, I've counted. I've got my 8 to one side, with 1 already in to each side. And now I'm just going to leave myself a little piece like this. And we'll measure to the other side, the long side, let's call it, because we are going to do 4 knots today, and that is how tension is held best on any type of racket, tennis, squash, badminton. So I always do 4 knots unless it's a very cheap kind of aluminum racket where it just gets a little bit complex and complicated finding the space for 4 knots. But anyway, any top racket, any good graphite racket should do the job. Today, guys, we are using Head Rip Control. It's a multi-filament string, which I'm very not keen on. Doesn't seem to be all that popular anyway. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, guys, I've got loads of string. 7 to each side with the one in the middle. That's 8 to each side. 8 plus 8, 16. Tension, good question. Tension required by this client today is 53 lbs. Which is just under 24 kilos. Don't forget, 1 kilo is 2.2 pounds. Just like if you were to weigh yourself, exactly the same kind of metric system. You'll see a few pros, I think, using this racket now. I like the touch that this person's done. Also, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but a yellow grip, nice bright yellow grip. Looks pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, this racket is very bright, but I like it. It is definitely bright. So when I first looked at it, but you know what? The more I look at it, the more I see it, the more I like it. Always a personal thing, guys, don't forget. As you guys can see, as always, guys, religiously 3 strings to each side progressively. So you do 3 to one side, 3 to the other. 3 to one side, 3 to the other. Let's see if you guys can see. So you always, always, always never pull the string above the frame, because that pushes the racket down, and we don't want that. We always go underneath the frame, as you just seen me do, yeah? So this always goes under, guys. Always, never, never, never over. Recently been doing a stringing course with a really cool guy, actually. Stumbled across one of my videos. Turns out we live in the same area. Out of all the people that may have watched my videos around the world, it turns out the guy lives very close to me, and we're members at the same tennis club, which is David Lloyd's Acton Park, in case you need to find me or hunt me down. Hopefully it's not for the wrong reasons. But long story short, been doing a little bit of a stringing course. So stumbled across one of my videos where I mentioned about these courses that I do, private courses. Well, it's more private, more than commercial, because I will string with you side by side. I have another machine. You can't see it in this from this angle. That's 6, guys, 6, without skipping any. And it works really well. So this person doing a stringing course, he had previously strung 13, 14 rackets, I believe it was, with the most of 2 in a row. So we then, last Friday, so today is the 4th of February. So last Friday, whichever day that was, might have been the 1st. No, it was the 31st of Jan. He came along for 4 hours. He actually managed to do 4 rackets. But we were talking, and actually it was very enjoyable. He may stumble across this one again. I guess he's following. So what's up, Duncan? Shout out to you, man. You're doing a really good job. So he had a little bit of previous experience, because he has found some videos online, whether all of mine or others. Obviously, probably a combination of both. And had bought himself an electronic, just a cheap, wise stringing machine, which is electric. Not the best from the West, but it'll do the job to start out with. And unless you're going to go commercial, then there's probably pointless in buying a very expensive machine. Long story short, where are we now? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Skip 1 at the top and the bottom, guys. Just to really point it out and make it really easy for you guys to follow this video. My knot. The Parnell knot, religiously for the last 25 years, maybe even more, 26 in fact. So as you saw, I made a simple single knot, down, around and through, down, back up and through the first knot. Don't pull too hard. Don't pull too hard on your knots, guys. You risk of snapping the string. I'm not gonna lie, I do it still maybe once or twice a year, ridiculously. If I'm not, if I'm just, maybe I'm just stronger than I know. All those muscles that I don't work out. So, we up our tension on the last string. I didn't mention it before, but again, as every video, as you see, I always religiously go up 15 to 20% is the recommendation. So we've gone from 53, I have my machine set on 15% increase tension on the last string every time before we do a finishing knot. It's not the name of the knot in itself, but it's a finishing knot surely because we're finishing the crosses. So when we do 4 knots, you have 3 finishing knots, 1, 2, 1 starting knot to start the crosses, and again to finish either or. And it doesn't matter, these rackets actually show you may be able to see, this one says tie off C, tie off crosses, tie off mains. So as you would have seen, I tied off as close as possible to the most, to the closest main string. because I could have gone here, but that would make no sense because you're losing tension all across on the outside. Even if your lag is really good and you're taking care of that, then when I say lag, I say lag. There's no lag here. And if there is, it should be very minimal, and it probably will improve as you progress as a stringer. So that's our mains done, guys. I always cut myself a nice sharp end, which makes life just that little bit easier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and a half. 16, 19, you don't need more than 7.5. As long as you don't go crazy on your knot. What I mean by that is this. So tie off C. You can start and imagine any side, yeah, tie off C. So it doesn't matter which side you start. There's no special grommets on this racket, like the FSI technology on the Babolat, some of the Babolats. But as you can see, so there's, you know, I have people that might come along and leave them that much, and they'll be short at the end. Why risk it? Make your knot nice and small. I mean, I can go as small as that. I could even go even lower, just to show you guys a little bit of an example and some complicating my life here a little bit, some different kind of workmanship. But there you go, Parnell knot again. But there you go, minimal. I could have left a bit more, but just to show you guys that that is, you know, if you really want to save string, that's how you do it. So if I would have known, well, it's a set of strings, so if you're using a reel, it's a bit different. When you're using a set, it doesn't matter how much you really leave, as long as you don't go over the top and leave yourself short at the end. So guys, there's my first weave. It's 12:30 p.m. London, UK time. Based stringing out of West London, guys. One of our pick-up and drop-off locations out of the 6 that we have. Keeps me very busy, and more than myself sometimes. So we're going to string 1 ahead, guys. What does that mean? We're stringing 1 ahead. So we're not just stringing 1, we're not just weaving 1 string and then pulling it. We're weaving 1 and then another, and like that progressively throughout the racket. 53 for mains and crosses, so we're leaving the tension put as is. As you can see what I'm doing here, the string is quite smooth, I would say, although it has a sense of roughness to it. It's not a smooth string. You can hear it when I pull. It's a lot noisier because the string isn't flat in itself. It's kind of bumpy, let's say. So we could call it a textured string, I guess. But it doesn't have a real shape outside of a circular shape. It feels a little bit loose. I'm going to tighten that up just to be safe without going too tight though. Don't want to mark the string or break the string. One ahead, as usual. So that 1 ahead string that I've just done now there, as you just seen, makes it much easier to always weave. As you go throughout the crosses, the racket in itself starts to tighten up. I'm just going to tighten that tiny bit. It looks like, yeah, perfect. It makes the weave much easier. So I'll make an example just for you guys to witness it as well. So I'm not going to do 1 in front now. I'm just going to go 1 by 1. Now watch my weave. I mean, you guys may not, you can go back obviously and have a look and see how long this one takes, but it is, I mean, it is, yeah, you should be able to tell, but it's much harder. And then even when you pull the string across, also, there's more friction. So all in all, highly recommend that you guys string 1 ahead. Tennis, squash, or badminton, by the way, doesn't matter. Or even racquetball, I guess, which is something I'd never see really. Seen it a few times. But you see how quick that weave was? I'm not saying see how quick that weave is just to toot my own horn, but you get it, right? So it just makes the weave much easier from start to finish as to getting stuck 2nd, 3rd string in, because of not having done 1 ahead. a little bit tighter actually. Not sure why my clamps. Oh, it's because I was stringing 130 before this, 130 mil. That's a 16 gauge. In case you're different parts, different measurements, different parts of the world. Just like some countries might use centimeters, other ones use inches and feet and centimeter or meters. Guys, also I noticed when I was doing stringing course the other day, just that always when I do these courses, that it does remind me that a lot of times when a lot of you will be stringing, don't get so close to the racket, please. There's no need, especially if you've got a good machine. You can leave a few centimeters to either side. In fact, I could even put it from here onwards. I try to get as close as possible. Make sure the clamps don't touch the strings, or that'd be something. Make sure that it doesn't touch the racket. Make sure it doesn't touch the racket, the clamps. Just to clarify. Always moving that hand, moving the strings from top to bottom pretty much. Reducing the friction, and that way there is no scratches, no damage or any kind of anything done to the strings, which is very common. I see this a lot of times when other rackets come in from other stringers, maybe less experienced, who knows, but there you go. You'll be able to notice every time I'm pulling up and down on the string, like now. A lot of times I use, depending which way the racket is, I'll use the back of my nails as well, just FYI, in case you are pulling those strings quickly and you think, oh, it's burning my fingers, use your nails. Plan B, you can use the awl, but you have to pick it up, drop it, or you could put it there. Some people like that one. I used to do it for years and years, but not anymore. As you can see, I push my string up always, just to give me that extra, how would you call it, cutting edge maybe. Because as you can see, it's very important to later then support your string. So instead of it being like that, you want it to be nice and straight. That way there is minimal movement of strings once you finish your stringing job. What happens is if we move our strings too much, or we have what I call the Mexican wave, and you've got to move all your strings back into place and put them nicely, you're going to lose some tension, unfortunately. So be mindful of that. So as you get closer to the bottom, you'll notice it does get a bit harder to weave, because now the tension is pretty much setting throughout the whole racket. So that's completely normal. You may not, again, notice it all that much with me, but as you can see, there's some small pauses where I have to pull the string across, as to when I'm up here, I can go all the way without pausing. And the string will just pull and slide smoothly through the racket, or the mains, across the mains. So I went a bit close there by accident for my liking. Probably wasn't touching. Might have been touching the grommet, I don't know, but by accident. So I just moved it a little bit. Alright, 2 more strings to weave, guys. I'm going to give myself a bit of this, I don't know if you can see, but it has fluffed up a little bit. Already a few strings, a few weaves ago, so just making things as simple as possible and easy as possible. That small things like that might help you sometimes, especially once you get to the top of the bottom where there's main strings you need to get by, like now. But this is pretty straightforward and easy. Wow. bang. Thank you, ma'am. Wham, bam. Guys, last string before we tie our finishing knot. The last and final knot. I've put my tension up. And there you have it. I'm going to cut some string off. Don't need that much. Had plenty. Here you go. It tells me right here. Tie C, tie cross. Down, around, do a single knot. And then we're going to go down, around, and back through. I'm not going to pull too tight, just enough. This is actually quite a soft string. Release your clamps before cutting your knot, just to be safe, because it does probably move ever so slightly. Probably does move. No, it does move. But sometimes, depending how much lag you've taken out, etc. Oh, it was so short I didn't even, completely forgot it was still there. Okay, there you have it, guys. The Head Extreme Pro. Straighten up my strings a little bit. Pretty straight, I gotta say. I'm almost just pushing them up for the sake of pushing them, because there's not really much that needs to be done here. Ever so slightly, just a tiny bit. Alright guys, there you have it. Another racket. I'm sure we've done this racket before, but in an older paint job. But yeah, there you go, guys. Alright, hopefully there's some valuable stuff there. Thank you for tuning in, and have a good one wherever you guys may be. Happy stringing, guys. Bye bye.